Good afternoon, or good morning. I guess it's good morning still. 15 minutes to afternoon. Welcome to Midday Roast with Team SI. Midday Roast is the time for us at Team SI to share a couple of conversations we've had around the office with our clients, prospective customers, with our friends about what's going on in the world of technology and marketing. And today on Midday Roast, we're going to talk about all about content matters. Why does it matter? Why is it important? The details of content marketing, what to create, who to create it for, and how to get it out there. Okay?
Yeah.
Today with me I have Pittman.
Hello.
And Lauren. Both have been around. No need to, I think, reintroduce who they are. Pittman's a senior account executive for us, and as is Lauren. I'm really excited to have Lauren with us. She's not a regular on here like Pittman and I. Just so you know, Lauren is like the social media guru expert. She's got a master's degree in social media. Basically,
teaches a course.
Teaches a course, a college course.
Yes, college level.
Not like for around here like social media for dummies for Pittman and I, but a college course.
It's like a 300 level course, right?
Yeah, it's a junior level course.
Yeah.
And she also teaches fundamentals of advertising.
Oh wow!
So very excited to have Lauren Faribault with us on Midday Roast. Now, before we get started, I want us to go ahead and share it because I'm going to share it because I want all my friends to join in right now and listen in. Well, that's great. And I have to turn my sound down to make sure I can do it. But I'm going to share this right now on mine with all my friends and encourage y'all to go ahead and share it too. So today we're going to do something special. We're actually going to give away this Team SI hat.
Model it.
I'm not going to put it on and model it. We can model it and put it on. Yeah, it's fancy. It's got the khaki, so it's classic.
Only slightly used.
Team SI logo. It's only been worn by me for the last 2 seconds. You saw me. Fancy Velcro closure in the back.
I prefer the Velcro.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a big head like me. It just
Very
makes it
big head.
easier. It makes it easier to do that. So, free hat. To win the hat, what you got to do is not work for Team SI. So Mary and Michael who are watching right now, you don't qualify. But you got to leave a comment or a question in the Facebook Live, either present or if we don't give away during the show later on, you can leave it and we'll still send you out the cap. Also, a reminder, we're doing this as a podcast too. So if you catch us on Facebook Live or the blog and you'd be like, hey, I'd really like to listen to Laney Ray Malone for a while. You can go ahead and subscribe to our podcast. There's a link to iTunes and several other places the podcast is out there. But I think we do have seriously good information. We have the experts in our office sharing that. And today, it's all about content marketing. And I think it's a good example. This is a great example of content marketing, this blog. So let's start out, and we'll go to Pittman for this. Okay. Why does content matter?
Well, content matters because it's really, it's your bridge to your customers. It's your message. It is the reason they need to be buying your products or subscribing to your services or paying any attention to you at all. And it's really your chance to share your story and the story of your products and your services with your customers in a unique, fun, engaging way, but also a way that's very relevant by kind of zeroing in on who your customers are, and kind of figuring out those identities and then why they need your product. Content marketing is a great tool just to figure out, who your audience is, how you connect to them. It really is a sales vehicle.
Cool. So, I mean, it's definitely a way to talk to directly to your audience to answer questions. Let's jump in deep to start, and then we'll come back. But let's just jump in deep about the basic steps to create a content marketing strategy. Why don't you start us off?
So you really got to plan out kind of a calendar and just kind of a sketch outline of what you need content-wise, and think about the strategy from a business perspective, but also what your audience wants to know. You've got to think about that information that they're interested in, that they're going to click on to read more about, that they're going to watch a video about. So you've really got to think both strategically from a business perspective, but also your audience interest and what they're wanting to know about. And then you kind of plan out your content. You want to make sure it's varied. You're not just posting all videos, but you're also posting blog posts and you're posting Facebook, and you're coordinating all the different platforms together.
So really, for me, it's the first step is defining who the goals for your business. What do we want our business to do through the content marketing? Are we going to more sales? If we're a service business, do we want more phone calls? What's the end goal? How are we going to measure whether or not we've done this and how we're successful. And then it's thinking about who your audience is.
Yeah.
The way we define audiences here at Team SI is we create these really cool personas that illustrate who they are. We give them names, we put pictures on them, and talk about odd details about the people that we're creating content for that really don't have a lot to do with our business, but really bring the person alive as a character that we can write to as an audience we're writing to. And so once we built those personas, we really kind of outlay, okay, if we want this person to have this end goal, what are the questions they have along the line as they move down from awareness to interest to consideration to action? And what are the pieces of content that we need to create along the way, and where are the mediums that we can intersect and place this content to answer those questions? And really, for each goal, we can have a different persona, and a lot of times, even in different markets, we have different personas because they're different kinds of people. If we're working in healthcare, a lot of times we'll have a persona in the core market, or two or three, but then we'll also have personas of people who may not be in the core market, but who travel in for specialized services, and we'll have different personas in how they look and what they're searching for, and in their information needs, and trying to intersect and create those needs. So beyond the monthly calendar, when you create that, Lauren, you talked about having fun content and interesting content. Why is it important to do a monthly calendar, though?
Because you really want to think strategically about all the different content. And you also want to plan ahead to make sure you have content pieces ready. You don't want to be the day of trying to figure out what you're going to do a blog post about. So it's important to plan ahead, but it's also important to make sure that your content is varied. And that having the whole calendar view of it, that really helps kind of see how the pieces work together, for your overall strategy with the calendar.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what about, how do you make content fun and creative and stand out from the pack?
That's a good question. And really, sometimes you just have to think about things that you would click on. What are those articles that you might, that you always kind of suck you in on Facebook, whether it's celebrity secrets or, that kind of thing. A lot of the list things are always popular. They're always going to get more clicks because people want to see something that they can scroll through quickly. Think about fun and interesting videos that kind of suck you in. Sometimes it's those recipe videos that we all start watching.
I was about to say the same thing, recipes.
One thing we do at Team SI is we have these brainstorming, so we'll bring in a bunch of people who work on the same kind of content, or just different people from across the office, and have a brainstorming session about a client and the content that's needed in the next quarter, and come up away, and the person writing the content creator, we call them a producer, walks away with a long list of content to write for that client with a lot of different ideas. And really, it's just, putting everybody else, and so you're not dependent on yourself to do all the content creation.
Well, yeah, and I think it's helpful too because, if you get, like a big enough group around our office, to start coming in and brainstorming, there's a good chance that, some of those personas that you've created, like several different people in that room will be one of those personas, like whether it's a, young mom or it's, a, young, single guy who has, still needs that service or that product, but needs it for a different reason and engages with it for a different reason.
Exactly. So, and we create a lot of different content on different platforms, but how do we repurpose that content, David?
That's a good point. So, one, you think about, okay, so there are different kinds of content. There's blog content, there's video content, there's, social media content. Those are kind of the core features, and then there's different versions of that. So you might take a Facebook post that did really, really well, that was kind of short and, it was like a fun fact, say, but you really could have expanded that into like a list of 10 things you need to know about this, or you can turn it into a video blog, or like a live session, like a Q&A even, and that kind of goes to the idea of what's your evergreen content, what's your seasonal content. Your evergreen content can really be repurposed several different times. You don't want to say have the same blog post every quarter, but every quarter you could do the same topic and turn it into a long form video. You could turn it into a white paper. If you can really get in depth and in the weeds on it, you can repurpose it into like 4 monthly pieces of social media content. But yeah, when you're thinking about when you're kind of putting together your content, especially your blog content or your any form of long form content, think about the different ways you can get this across so that you're not trying to have everything be so original and so unique. Think about how you can repurpose and get as much mileage as you can from each piece of content you put together, because it's that first time you put it together is going to be the heart and soul, the longest and most resource intensive on your end.
Cool. So we've talked about content and how content's about the audience and meeting the audience needs, but we also want to include your brand story in that content. So can you give us some suggestions on doing that more?
Yeah, so I think it's important to kind of get the brand culture and the brand story across. Make sure that you tell kind of what just a day in the life sometimes of your business is like. And that's really easy to do through social media, through live videos, but also through, albums on Instagram where you can kind of scroll through and maybe see through different hours. A lot of the new videos that are coming out, it's really easy to tell your story of kind of what you can do for clients or prospective customers, but also just what the culture inside the business is like. There are different ways to kind of tell your story and to tell what your brand is about.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So one easy piece of content that's always to create is to incorporate events and holidays, that are related to your business into it. Can you give some examples of how that works, Pittman?
Yeah, and I think of course, around 4th of July, you want to have something kind of patriotic. Christmas, Thanksgiving, kind of those things. But one cool resource that I don't think a lot of people think of right first is that we have all these national this days and national that days, and it's a good idea to always subscribe to some of these calendars so you always know what national day it is, because sometimes that national, so if it's National Hot Dog Day and you're a restaurant, or you have a seasoning or some kind of maybe you sell, a relish, I don't know. But, that ties into your brand the same way, and if you are maybe a hospital, you've got, it's National Hot Dog Day, so we're going to give away, free 50 hot dogs for the first people that come through or, sign up. It could be, National Farmers Awareness Day, and you're an agricultural dealership. And so you want to make sure that you have a piece of very tailored content thanking all the farmers who are your customers.
Or it could be National Donut Day, my favorite, and you just have donuts for all the customers that come in,
Yeah, and it doesn't have to necessarily relate to your brand. It can just be something fun, like the hospital doing the hot dogs or something like that. Play off those days and make it fun for your audience.
Yeah, actually, when we try to create content in our content calendars, we try to have 3 engaging posts and then 1 selling or asking post.
Yeah.
So we're going to create good, useful content that is fun for the audience, that answers questions for them, that's not directly about the business. And then we'll have a post that actually is a sell or an ask, and we ask the audience to do something.
You have a specific term for that, right?
Yeah, it's called jab, 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 right hook.
Nice.
So, it's
I
come
love
on, if you're a boxer fan, you're bringing them in, and then you're going to use the right hook to close the deal. So, yeah, jab, 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 right. It's Gary Vaynerchuk's term, not my term, so I won't claim that because I don't want Gary V coming after me, to be clear. So, we talked when we started out, talking about goals and audiences, but it's real important to measure results. And it's important to measure results as we go and then measure end results. And part of measuring results as we go is calendar optimization and content optimization. Why don't you tell us how you do that with clients, Lauren?
So what we do typically with clients is we will look at the previous month. We'll look at the top post of the previous month, and we look at everything from the character count of the post to what time of day it was posted, and we'll look to kind of see engagement. How many comments did it get? Did a lot of people share it? Why were they sharing it? Was it like all the person's family members because, an employee was featured in it? And that's important to know. So we're looking at all of those different factors. We're also looking at the content of it. Was it a video? Was it a photo? Was it a link to the site? Was it more of that sell, or was it more of the engaging content? What worked and what didn't work. And we're going to take some of those key takeaways and we're going to use those to develop the next month's calendar.
Yeah, and it's real important to know that we do that because we're not depending on our gut or what works with our other clients in the same category or targeting the same audiences. We're looking at the data and letting the data make the decisions about what we're building into the content calendar for the next month. So looking at the data is really important for us at Team SI. and paying attention to doing what the data tells us to and using that information.
Absolutely.
I think the other piece of that puzzle is different kinds of content work well for different kinds of content work well on different social platforms. So give me an example of what that means, Ben.
So the easy example would be something that's more picture based or more kind of engaging that you can get across in just an image. Is obviously going to be better on something like Instagram versus Twitter or Facebook. Something that is more real time specific is going to be better on Twitter necessarily than Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think that content would be suitable on Facebook as well. And then something that is going to be tied back to a call to action, a piece of content that you like. So a teaser, Facebook post that's trying to get you to come watch a video or read a blog. Facebook is going to be the best place for that because they have the best ability to convert on a call to action.
So there also, you want to make sure your social platforms are tied to your audiences. So different kinds of content, different audiences for different social platforms, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how does that work?
So you've got to think about who the average Facebook user is.
Yeah.
And Facebook's getting older and older. So you really want to think about that older generation for Facebook. While Instagram, that's going to be more your millennial base and, a little bit mature millennials, I guess, as well. I'm one of those. I don't like that phrase.
A mature millennial?
Mature millennial.
I'll have to start using them more often.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely Pittman's mature millennial.
Yeah.
I know that. I think even Grace behind the camera, we're going to have to put you in that category now, Grace, a mature millennial. She's giving me that cute, I really want to frown at lady, but I'm not going to for that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. With Snapchat, it's all about teenagers, it's about college, so you've got to think about those age groups, but also, if you're wanting to target to females, think about Pinterest, because that's where they are. You're not going to target men on Pinterest. So you've got to think about those key demographics with social media.
When's the last time you were on Pinterest, Pittman?
Christmas.
And you were like spying on your wife to see what she wanted for Christmas.
Yeah. She actually puts together her Christmas list on Pinterest, and then I have to go download the Pinterest app again, figure out how to log on again because I'm a mature millennial.
Mature millennial male.
Yeah, but it makes it really easy for me to get in and order all the stuff she wants. But
so the other thing about content marketing is unique is we've focused today mainly on creating content and the avenues to place it. But one of the ways we do content marketing that's a little bit different is we also, besides putting it out there on organic channels or free channels like blogs and your website and YouTube and social media accounts, we also do a lot of paid content marketing. And so talk about how we do that.
So this is something we do specifically in healthcare a lot, is when we take a specific service line that the hospital is really wanting to market and push out, and we develop a strategy over a few months normally, and push out content pieces over different channels. A lot of it's Facebook, but it's also over Google Responsive, it's over Taboola. We've also used Yahoo Gemini before. So we're using several different platforms.
Right, and all those platforms are native content platforms. So native advertising platforms actually pushes the piece of content, and you see the little sponsored out there, but it looks like a piece of content on a newspaper, on another website, on Facebook. It looks like just another piece of content that they're engaging, that they serendipitously found, but instead we're actually paying to put that content out there, right?
Right. And it could be a blog post that has to do with that service line that could help, patients or parents of patients, or it could be a patient story that's a great success story that gives you kind of that warm, fuzzy feeling.
Right, yeah, and we really try to stage those out over a period of time, so we're telling different aspects of the story specifically for that service line. If it's a heart service line, we want to basically explain, here's the heart, here's the outcomes to start with, here's a patient story, here's a more technical story about the technology and our investments in it, here's a story about the physicians and how wonderful, or the nurses, that show the complete aspect of that program within all the content marketing. And once a person has shown that they're engaged and they're interested in it, we can put them in a remarketing pool and go back and approach them again and again and again. So a lot of times when we do these, we have a couple of outcomes that we want, our goals. So what are those kind of goals that we're looking for at the end?
We're looking for phone calls, we're looking for form completions on the site, and we're also looking at web traffic. We're going to make sure that they went to the site, that they stayed around a little bit, that they actually read through or watched a video or did something on the site. And so, generally, backing up a little bit, we're also looking at clicks to make sure that they're actually clicking on the ad, that they're commenting or engaging with the ad. But ultimately, we want to drive appointments with healthcare.
Right, so definitely in the end, we're going to see clicks, we're going to see engagements, we're going to do a Facebook Live that people come to, we're going to give them the opportunity to subscribe, but in the end, we want questions on our website that people send an email address and ask a question, appointments made online, phone calls made to make appointments, and really use those as our end goal or end result of whether or not the content marketing worked.
Right, yeah.
So we love content at Team SI. I really tell people, we're a tech agency, a tech data firm right now. Really started off with a content focus, strong in a couple of different local industries and in the auto industry. We've moved that over and added digital marketing and digital media. And we've added our technology and development skills to that. But still at the core, content's king, and that's answering questions like you started out our conversation today. Content is the bridge to your audience.
Yeah.
And just figuring out the right way to deliver that content, the right way to build that bridge so that we're connecting with our audience and starting that conversation and engagement. That's what content marketing is all about. So we have, like I said, a strong core competency of content. My background is in journalism. Lauren, we have a large number of people with a public relations journalism are writing a content background. Grace behind the camera has that background too. So we love to tell stories. We're storytellers around here. Any last words about content, marketing, social media before we sign off?
I'll point out one thing because I think that gets tied into a lot. People sometimes mistakenly think that content marketing is all about SEO. Mm-hmm. And while that does have content is a big driving factor now in how you show up in search engines, it's important to maybe kind of take a step back and think about, this content might help me, for SEO purposes, but this content is, pure to what I really want to get across, what I want to say about the brand, and is really an opportunity to talk directly to my customers and potential customers right then and there. So when you're developing, a content marketing strategy, don't get too focused on what it's going to do for your social engine appearance.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing. We didn't mention SEO. Mm-hmm. I mean, John Morgan's our SEO guru, just like Lauren's our social media guru. And if John was here, he would tell us, if you're serving the audience the best way possible, you're going to serve Google and they're going to rank you. And that's really the key. So content marketing does have a big search perspective. And there's a lot of search tools with AdWords and Google Trends you can use to help discover the right content for content marketing. Great point, Pittman. We missed that today. You got a final comment?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody joining us. Do we have any questions or comments from the audience? No. Definitely a great way to connect with us at Team SI is over social media. On Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, where we are Team SI. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Like I said before, please go ahead and check out our blog at teamsi.com. And you can, if you found what you've heard today interesting, you can subscribe to our podcast through iTunes. Thank you.